So throughout the next few days, I decided I kind of wanted to give little break videos between each To Pimp a Butterfly segment because I just want to, give some catching up to do. I want to review Reason and for Benny the Butcher, but I also now wanted to review Joyner Lucas because he dropped a new EP, and these are going to be very quick videos. I'm only listening to the album once, not taking any notes in it, just listening to it in normal format, and then I'll give you my thoughts here in a video. So I'm not sure what I'm going to call this because I don't like the title Quick Thoughts very much, but this is technically an EP, so I guess it's an EP review. We'll see what I end up titling this, because if I say album review, I'm wrong. It's not an album at all. It's technically an EP. But anyway, my boy Joyner Lucas has returned to us with a new EP. Now, let me just explain something, that I'm not like a Joyner Lucas hater, because I guess like more songs from him than I dislike, and that's mostly just because I like a lot of his old stuff. Joyner to me was always one of those rappers who always felt like he was gonna be, like he was always at that limit of being the next big thing, the next Kendrick Lamar, the next, I don't know, J. Cole, the next great rapper of the decade. But every single time he dropped an EP, that's always what I felt. Especially when he dropped 508. There are songs from that album I love, like Keep It 100 and I'm Sorry are some amazing songs. His single, I'm Not Racist, and all of the great remixes he dropped in that time period of, Look Alive, Gucci Gang. There's so many great remixes he dropped in that time period. And then he had the verse with Eminem on Lucky You. There was a good 2 or 3 years that this guy seemed like he was going to be that next big thing, that next great rapper. Then he came to us with I Love, which is the point where it all started to go downhill. Because while I didn't dislike I Love upon first listen, it seemed like that track was like, oh, we got the first single. Yes, the Joyner Lucas debut album, ADHD, coming soon. Yeah, then we heard Devil's Work, ISIS, 10 Bands, Broken Stupid, and like a bunch of other singles before hearing the album in 2020. Like, I remember when I Love came out, I was in 7th grade. I'm a freshman now. Like that album took almost my entire middle school to drop. Like, oh my god, and he released 2/3 of the album before it came out. To me, ADHD is one of the worst albums to drop in 2020. And there's so many reasons why. Number 1, Joyner can do way better. Number 2, he released, like I said, 2/3 of the album. 9 singles. 9 singles from the album. I heard 9 songs from this album before I heard the album. And most of those songs were good on first listen, but upon multiple listens, the only ones that really I still like are Revenge. I think that's still a great track. I like ISIS, but it's mostly because of the performance from Logic. I like the track ADHD, but kind of in an own guilty pleasure way. And I Lied is an energetic intro. That album just ended up being, though, a total mess of cringe and almost just nothing. The lyrics were so nothing on that album. So now he's come to us with an EP. Now, when he announced this EP, I had hope for it because I knew I had seen Joyner great. I had seen great Joyner Lucas stuff. Years ago, I did. So he announced it was coming out, I believe, like September 16th. So I was really excited. I was like, yes, it's coming finally. We heard the single Fall Slowly, and my expectations were immediately dropped because of how terrible of a song it was. It's another one of those Joyner Lucas singles that you hear first time and you don't have any problem with it. Then you hear it a second time, and then you realize why everything about it is so wrong. It's so repetitive and annoying, and I will get to it later, but I think it was a terrible single. Then I thought the album was coming out September 16th. It didn't come out that day. I wasn't even surprised that he, once again, failed to drop the album on the time it should have been dropped. Then it was supposed to come out on October 16th. Nothing there, so then he just threw it out on October 23rd. At least he got it out, or it's October 22nd. Yeah, no, actually 23rd. At least he got it out, but still, this was meant to come out a while ago. So, and I know his reasons were to perfect it and to make it better. No, I don't know if he really worked that hard to make it any better. I wonder how terrible the version was back then. Point is, though, is that I didn't really go into this with the highest expectations because delays and a single. We also had the Snitch single a couple days ago, which I listened to about half of it, and then I just got bored, honestly. So we have a new Joyner Lucas EP. I don't know why this is an EP, because it's 44 minutes and 13 tracks, so it's kind of more of a mixtape. So I'm calling this a mixtape. But He's come back with this new EP, and I think he kind of wanted to market this like his Kamikaze, like that big comeback after the terrible album that everybody hated. The only problem, though, is that he didn't try. So we open up with When I Grow Up, which, like the skits on ADHD, is the cringiest thing I've ever heard in my life. That's over-exaggerating, but oh my god, the cringe. It essentially recalls a teacher going up to Joyner and, like, telling him, like, asking him, hey, why were you participating in class when we were all talking about what we wanted to grow up to be? And, oh my god, he's talking about, like, changing the world and how he thought all the other kids were stupid. And the acting is so wooden and terrible. And it's actually kind of funny, rather than, like, this cool, big emotional opening. You're not Biggie Smalls, dude. You can't just... You don't know how to do the skit thing. You're not Eminem. You don't know how to make cool skits in the middle of your album, clearly. Then we move into Evolution, which, like a lot of Joyner Lucas tracks, isn't badly produced or flowed. It's just so bland in the lyrics. He says nothing. There's, like, I left this song thinking he talked about evolution. Did nothing with it. He just talked about it. Then we move into the next track, On This Way, which, again, not really much is done by the end of the track. It's just kind of a lot of messing around. I like the games verse. That's probably the highlight from this whole project, the games verse on this one track. But I guess the message of this song and the next song is, wait for it, I'm going to blow your mind. The message of these songs is, racism is bad. I know, that's a crazy idea. Like, no one's ever talked about that. And maybe I am a little more critical of albums that talk about racism now because of my intense analysis of To Pimp a Butterfly. But you can do better than just say, we're being oppressed, because everybody said that already. Can you at least do something creative about it? Because it builds onto the point that everybody makes about Joyner Lucas, that he does things, and he does things that every other rapper did, and he does them way worse. He does things that other talented rappers done. I don't know if he's copying them, or he's just extremely late to the party, but he often makes these cuts that are just so, honestly, lazy. And as someone who has ADHD, that kind of makes sense. It actually, sometimes his music feels like the living embodiment of an ADHD rapper. A rapper who can't get anything out on time, whom is lazy with everything he does and copies everyone else. I'm not saying that's what someone who's ADHD is, not at all. I just be calling myself a person who's lazy and copies other people. But truth be told, that is something that comes with having ADHD. Being lazy and not getting things done on time. Joyner often comes across as very lazy in his lyrics. And on things I've seen, I think he opens every bar with the word black. It's as profound as Entrepreneur by the Pharrell Jay-Z song. It's as as big and as grand and as important as that song. Zim Zima comes on and it has one of my favorite production on this album, but lyrically is once again so dead. It's so nothing. He does a fast part in the middle. Cool. What does he say in this fast part? Oh, nothing? Okay. He literally just raps about nothing. He talks about being a gang guy, having money. He talks about what everyone else talks about, and he does it in the most boring fashion possible. Then we go into Tattletails, which is a skit about snitching that leads into a track about snitching. This does not sound familiar at all to an album I reviewed 2 weeks ago. Now, I'm not saying that Joyner Lucas here ripped off Savage Mode 2, even though it often comes across like he rips off everyone who was good at hip-hop. I'm not saying he did that because this album was meant to come out a lot longer than that, but who knows, maybe his big switch-ups to the album that took it a month to release were to make it copy Savage Mode, because when we get into the track Snitch, it's the most boring way to describe Snitch. And by the way, the track Tattletails, that skit is hilarious. I was rolling, I was laughing, legitimately laughing. It is so bad. It is so laughably terrible. I don't know what the point of this was meant to be, but my God, it is so terrible. It's so cringy. All the kid acting and voicing is so terrible. And the teacher that comes across a couple points in this album, it's just cringy. It's just laughable at this point. And then the track Snitch has this very cringy police officer, like, interviewing this guy, and he's like, all right, you're gonna face a lot of time if you don't tell us what's going on. Like, it's funny how Joyner Lucas on this track blatantly forgets why, like, what's the difference between a snitch and a rat. Because if you did listen to Snitches and Rats by 21 Savage and Metro Boomin, you get a very different picture. This is just, like, the most two-dimensional way to talk about it. It's so boring. Then we get Straight Like That, which I wouldn't hate nearly as much as I do. And I say hate, yes, if he just didn't repeat that bar so frequently. It's like I think he opens like almost every single bar on this song with Straight Like That. And let me just say, it is not interesting to hear that phrase like looped 100 times. It's not interesting. Then we're given Fall Slowly, which I already talked about, is probably my least favorite song on this album. It's the most repetitive, bland love track he could have made. I don't think Joyner Lucas knows what he does best. I think I, as his fan, know better what he does best. I love Joyner Lucas' storytelling tracks where he tells stories from different perspectives, because a lot of rappers try and do that, and a lot of them really fail. Joyner really knows how to do that. Joyner needs to go through a Logic phase where he, like, realizes, oh, wait, I should make an album on what I do best. Like, that's what No Pressure was, right? That was Logic after terrible Confessions and Supermarket. He realized, oh, wait, what I do best is over boom bap production. Talk about, like, life and struggle. That's what I do best. And then he made No Pressure, top 5 album of the year. Joyner still has yet to understand what makes him a good rapper. Because I'm not saying Joyner's a bad rapper, just recently he really sucked. And Fall Slowly is the farthest thing away from him being a good rapper. It's like so bland and so cringy in every sense of the word. Why? Why on earth did he decide, I want to make a love song with Ashanti? Then we have The Problem, which is very similar to the terrible what is it called? It's like the Can't Fall in Love song from ADHD. It's another one of those terrible songs where he's like, maybe the problem is me. Maybe I'm the reason no women want to date me. Maybe. Shut up. Over the most bland production and most bland lyrics possible. Then we have Legend, which I wait for you to talk about it, is about being a legend. I don't know what mind state Joyner, because Joyner does this thing on this album where he celebrates his success as if he's like the next big thing, and he did that on ADHD as well. And it's like, yeah, you did make it to, I think featuring with Eminem gave him an ego, and working with Chris Brown. But truth be told, you know what? You know what he could do? He could just release Angels and Demons, because those 3 singles released to that were great. Not, though, Evolution and ADHD. Like, his whole point on this song is, when I die, I'm going to be a legend. I mean, we have considered that not very good rappers can die and become legendary like XXXTentacion. But XXXTentacion actually talked to people. He spoke to the soul. And beyond me not really liking a lot of X's music, I still think he had a couple great singles. Jocelyn Flores and the... What is it called? What is the single? Oh, Jocelyn Flores and Sad. Why did I forget it was Sad? Are great singles. So there was a lot of people speaking to him. And that's the same with Juice WRLD and Mac Miller. When those people passed away, they, like, spoke to people. Okay, listen. When you are told by Joyner Lucas that he's the greatest rapper ever, what are you picking up from that? When he's talking about how you can't blame him because of ADHD, wish you can. You can blame, I am someone with ADHD and I can openly admit, you can blame me for being lazy. Because I can respectively not be lazy. It's just harder for me not to be lazy. Point is, though, is that even with someone at ADHD, I can say the song ADHD did not speak to me because it terribly described the actual disorder. So who are you speaking to? I don't know. You're not gonna die a legend. I hope he doesn't die. I want him to come back and make some great music. But my point is the theme of the song makes no sense, and he's building himself on a pedestal that doesn't exist. Father's Day is another terrible skit where the whole class is showing off their picture. And there's a really funny moment, by the way, in this skit. It's actually made me like laugh, like I couldn't help myself, like just laughing, like actual laughing. Where she's reading, the teacher like asks everyone to draw pictures of their father for Father's Day, and then she goes up to one girl and she's like, "Whoa, is this a picture of you and your father?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's a picture of me and my dad." "Whoa, that's so nice," and sets it down, and I'm just like, of course it's a picture of her and her father. Why are you asking? Because that was the point of the assignment. Why did you think this was a good skit in the middle? And I can't even tell if the teacher's meant to be the bad guy, like the one guy in the screening, terrible screening evaluations from ADHD, where it's like the teacher doesn't understand him and like is being really cruel and harsh on him. It's like, on this, I cannot tell if she's a terrible teacher or a great teacher. And then he ends with a song called Like a River, which is a better song from the album, but I don't really know what the point of this was. Is it in the same way that Scorpion by Drake has a really deep message because he talked about Adonis on the final track? Because no, that's not how it works. Just because you talk about somebody who's meaningful in your life at the end of your terrible album doesn't mean the album now has meaning. Although I would definitely argue Evolution's better than Scorpion, because Scorpion is a fucking hour and a half. But the point more is that this song, but I also, what I noticed about this song is that a lot of points feels like, okay, remember Stepdad by Eminem. Remember, you might find that song kind of cringy, right? Just wait till you hear Like a River. This is Stepdad, only it's really soft. At least Stepdad was like this grimy, angry song. I do think it's a little obnoxious and a little corny, but at least it was fun, and I think Eminem kind of knew it was corny. Joyner Lucas's album right here is the definition of cringy and corny, and it's really apparent he doesn't know. I am without doubt in my mind that Eminem knew Stepdad, Farewell, Ya Ya are all really cringy songs, and Godzilla. But he does them because people love them, and he's good at making things cringy. Eminem can make something cringy and fun. Joyner Lucas just makes things cringy. That's it. This project is no better than ADHD. I don't know if I like this more or less. ADHD is far more of a disaster and a mess, and it was a bigger disappointment to me. But Evolution definitely has less good songs, because I didn't really like a single thing from this. I at least liked Revenge and Isis from the other project, even though I heard them way before the album. I think this is a tad bit better than ADHD, just because of how terrible ADHD was, but just, God, Joyner could do so much better. And I have no doubt in my mind there could be the second album that's like amazing from him. Like is like, oh wait, I know what I do wrong. I know what I did wrong on the ADHD and Evolution project. I shouldn't make terrible, corny songs. I should go back to telling stories from different people's perspectives, like Frozen, Happy Birthday, I'm Sorry, I'm Not Racist. Songs like that tell really unique perspectives. I'm Not Racist. Have you ever heard that song? Have you ever heard the really great lyrics on that song? I know I've spent the last 18 minutes bitching about this album, but truth be told, Joyner can do so much better. This was just another miss for me, honestly. I'm thinking about a rating, and I was thinking of a C- because I gave ADHD that, but I'm lowering both of these albums, Evolution and ADHD. I'm giving it a D+. Both of these are D+ to me, because they're on the same level, just ADHD is more disappointing. This was just terrible, honestly. I expected a lot more from Joyner Lucas, and it's a little bit like another... maybe 2021 will be great for him, because in 2020, Logic absolutely failed by delivering two terrible albums really back to back. Then he did definitely deliver in 2020, so maybe these two terrible albums, next year he'll deliver something great. But just fuck this album, honestly. I'm excited to review Benny and Reason, though. Those will probably be better projects.